never ever expected 6,000 acres per hour.
From nearly 20,000 to more than 125,000 acres in less than 24 hours.
But guys, we're just trying to get out.
Our top priority is to make sure that residents of Grand Lake, other evacuated communities, those that remain unaccounted for, are safe.
The East Troublesome fire explodes in size overnight and is now forcing people living from Granby to Estes Park to leave their homes.
We're still going to see critical fire behavior in the next 36 to 48 hours.
We don't know. We don't know anything, to tell you the truth, just bits and pieces, so that's the biggest fear.
Within the past few months, we've had 3 wildfires crack the top 5 for the largest in state history. The latest to join is the East Troublesome fire, which exploded more than 100,000 acres overnight. It is now the 4th largest wildfire in state history, and right now thousands are fleeing their homes. Thank you for joining me at 4. I'm Jessica Porter. Right now, cars are backed up in Estes Park and Granby as people in mandatory evacuation zones try their best to get out as quickly as they can. And just an eerie sight to see. This photo was taken just 30 minutes ago in Estes Park. The whole town lit in orange as evacuation orders spread there. And we got this photo from a viewer saying her mom has been evacuated from the Stanley Hotel in Estes Park. But as you can see over in Granby, that smoke is just overpowering as the fire continues to spread closer to homes. As of right now, the fire is only 5% contained. Firefighters say their main focus is getting everyone to safety. We want to go straight to our team coverage on this Weather Action Day. Meteorologist Stacey Donaldson is in her weather studio, and Lance and Ivan are in Granby right now. But first, we want to get to Estes Park. Denver7's Liz Gilardi is there now. Liz, you've been seeing lines of cars fleeing, orange skies. It's almost apocalyptic out there.
Jessica, it is incredibly eerie. I've covered a lot of wildfires, and this is the first time I've really seen a sky like this and being kind of surrounded. You can see the cars lined up trying to get out of town. Anyone familiar with Estes Park knows that there's really only a few ways out of town, so a lot of these cars trying to get on US 36, which is only open eastbound at the moment, and you can see kind of that lineup by the main traffic light in town where 36 would come in, and that's where a lot of cars are lined up and backed up at this point. And you know, most everything in town has shut down, has closed. There's one gas station we saw that's open, but other than that, everyone's kind of packed up, and as you can see, they're hitting the road. A long line of cars lined up, and then pretty quiet, you know, iconic places here. The Stanley Hotel also quiet. We just see a couple of cars in the parking lot. I'm not sure if that's just staff at this point. But yeah, it's just incredibly eerie here, and there were several areas that were under voluntary evacuation earlier today. Some of those areas have now moved to mandatory evacuation. There are several shelters set up, and also Rocky Mountain National Park closed this morning, the entire park, because of this fire's activity. So right now, again, US 36 is only open eastbound from Estes Park to Lyons as they're trying to get people out of town. Reporting live, Liz Gilardi, Denver7.
Oh, that line of traffic is just unbelievable. Thank you, Liz. Now we want to get over to Granby, and that's where we find Denver7's Ivan Rodriguez. Ivan, the skies may be less orange where you are, but that wind is very strong.
Jessica, the wind is pushing very strong. You can see just the skyline completely filled with clouds behind me. And to give you a picture of just how vast these smoke clouds are, as we continue going that way west, you can see all the smoke from where this is originating, all that wind pushing these smoke clouds and flames northwest, and that's what really has people fighting this fire concerned that it will continue to grow if these winds and dry conditions continue. Based on latest reports, the fire has grown more than 125,000 acres and is only 5% contained. Thousands of people have already been asked to evacuate, and many more are under pre-evacuation orders like the town of Granby. Cars line the streets just to make their way out of town. Law enforcement telling me, based on what they're hearing, one of the safest places to stay tonight might be in Winter Park. The Grand County Sheriff says yesterday they were surprised by just how much this fire grew.
We don't know what to expect, and based on what we saw yesterday, I felt like we were ahead of the curve yesterday. I will stand up here and tell you that every day. but I still think that we need to make sure that we're even farther ahead of that curve today.
Last we heard, no structures within the city limits of Grand Lake had been destroyed. Again, those are all just sort of word of mouth. There's no exact number on that, but the town manager of Grand Lake tells me that those neighborhoods surrounding the city limits have been decimated. Now, I want to head over to my colleague Lance Hernandez. Lance, you spoke with evacuees.
I certainly did. Just to let you know, we're on the north side of Granby, right next to the high school, just north of the football field. You can see a huge smoke plume behind me. It really looked ominous this morning when we first pulled into town, just a tad bit less so this afternoon. But those winds are still blowing, and they seem to be shifting somewhat. They were blowing toward the northeast most of the day. I'm feeling it blow directly east now, and you can see quite a few flames over there on that ridge and more smoke coming up. So we've seen some crowning going on over there. Don't know if it's just grass or if there's some timber over there that's burning, but it has been going on like that all afternoon long. Now, earlier today, we shot some video as we were coming into town of a stream of traffic leaving town. Folks that were evacuating, getting out while the getting was good. And while those folks were getting out, we could see a front end loader up on the hillside trying to scratch out a fire line. We've seen aerial tankers dropping retardant in the hot spots over there. And we've seen a lot of people kind of anxiously looking over toward the horizon, trying to keep an eye on the flames. Spoke with one couple as they were leaving town and just asked them what was going through their mind as they're seeing the smoke and flames on the hillside.
Fear.
Fear that
It's scary, you know, and like last night when it got so dark that you couldn't see with headlights, it's scary.
it's very
Did you get any sleep?
Not really.
Not much.
Bouncing around. It's because you don't know when they're going to sound the whistle, code red for us.
Now, that couple told me a little bit earlier this afternoon, too, that her daughter and her daughter's boyfriend, they're just glad that they're still alive. They got out of their house safely, but they watched the house burn. That's the story. The motel owner, we talked to a motel owner. He said, I don't know if I've got a home to return to. He's praying that he's got a hotel, a business to return to when this fire is over. But I tell you, some anxious moments today, some anxious moments overnight. Last night was very scary with the high winds and the bright orange. People just asking for prayers. Reporting live in Grand County, Lance Hernandez, Denver7. Back to you.
Hope everyone gets out safely. Thank you, Lance. Also, people near Boulder County are still under mandatory evacuation orders for the CALWOOD fire. That fire is just under 10,000 acres and is 24% contained. It's unbelievable, the fire danger we've been in. Stacey Donaldson joins us now. Stacey, when will Mother Nature give those firefighters some relief?
Yes, Jessica, it is so scary looking up there, and we won't see relief for a couple more days. We still have very high fire danger out to our west in those areas where the fires are burning and the winds just won't let up. We have red flag warnings in effect to the west of Denver up into the foothills and the higher elevations. We also have poor air quality here for the Denver area because of the smoke that's pouring down across the region. Now, we had a cold front go through, and you can see in the last 24 hours, it was a 37-degree drop. It's 37 degrees cooler now than it was 24 hours ago. But really, the eastern half of Colorado is what was affected by this cooler air. Up in the mountains, not much has changed temperature-wise, so it's still very warm and it's very windy. These winds gusting between 40 and 60 miles an hour off to our west, all the way from Granby up to Berthoud Pass and even into Estes Park. These are the current wind gusts, but they have been, you know, of course, gusting throughout the day, and we'll continue to see that in through tonight, and then another flare up of high winds into Saturday afternoon and evening, up around 40 to 50 miles an hour once again, out ahead of a cold front that's headed this way that will give us relief going into the weekend. A huge change with snowfall that will be affecting not only the Front Range but the higher elevations as well where the fires are burning.
Thank you, Stacey. And if you would like to help families that have been impacted by these historic wildfires, head to thedenverchannel.com. We've opened our Contact 7 Gives Fund and are now working with Grand Foundation to get relief to those now being evacuated by the East Troublesome fire. We're also working with United Way of Larimer County and Community Foundation of Boulder County to ensure every dollar raised helps Coloradans who have lost so much. Just click on Denver7 Gives and then look for Help Colorado Wildfire Victims in the drop-down menu. We have added Grand Foundation to our Denver7 Gives fund.